Okay, I'm back. These are rutabagas. Um, see right there, something's been crawling on it. So I gotta put some BT out here. If I can find some neem oil. Might try some diatomaceous earth. I gotta learn how to dust. Um, this miniature homestead is it's like this is intended to be a practice ground for my bigger homestead. So I've been doing this about successfully, if I don't count the years that I was struggling. 6 years, 6 or 7 years, and I'm about done. Because I was too old for school and couldn't afford it, so I just practiced. I got another piece of land that I'm going to transfer all this stuff that I learned here out there. There's Evie acting like she's a good dog. She's acting, y'all. No, she's a good dog. She really is. You heard that, Evie? You heard that you're a good dog? Okay. So yeah, this is a practice place. Everything from these posts in the ground is going to be a greenhouse. I'm gonna try not to say so much. That's a tiny house that was practice for all the components of building. It don't have a foundation, but I got to do floors, walls, doors, windows, roof, a little bit of finishing. It was a practice deal. And somewhere, an air-conditioned storage room is basically what it is. But it's a tiny house. Here we got, but the practice is over. Here's the collard greens. Once again, I thinned them out once. I'm about to thin them again. See evidence of a little worm in there. I'm about to spray something before they get to eating up my stuff. Some beets. I have not mastered the beets or carrots. It's something you got to do some kind of way of covering them to get them to germinate better. This is the kind of germination rate I get with beets. You see it's one here, one there, one there. It's not looking like the radishes there or how these germinated. So I still need to learn how to germinate beets. I think beets and carrots have had the same outcome. Probably like a 10% germination rate, 20% at the most. It's not the seeds. It's my technique. Apparently, I don't have one, so I need to get a technique for root vegetable germination. Same with parsnip, beets, carrots. I got to learn how to get them to germinate. I know a technique, but I got to actually do it. This is a radish. I just plant them because they're quick and easy. It's like 30 days. You get some fruit. Here's a compost pile. Another thing I've practiced since I've been here. Here's some broccoli, a little broccoli bed. This is, in practicing, you learn your lessons. This is a lesson to never use particle board for a floor for me building the place, because the floor is a stopping point where, like this one, I stopped at the floor. You paint it. If I use plywood, I can paint it. It can be covered. It'll last some months. Particle board, this is what happens. That flooring stuff, Made a mistake of listening to somebody, so I got to take all of this up and replace it with plywood. This is another 10 by 18. Yeah, 10 by 18. Anything less than 200 square feet, you don't fall under. It's non-permanent building. You don't have to permit it as long as it's 200 square feet or less. But you're better off going a little bit less than 200 square feet. There's the timber for this, but I got to take all that up, which is a lot of work. And it's going to be another one of these chicken coops / storage sheds. Just a room to put stuff in. Here's a compost pile. I learned a lot about composting, and the biggest lesson I can share with you is the bigger the pile, the easier it is. So it's a certain size where the magic just happens, and that's about at least a yard. If you get your pile to be a couple of wheelbarrows worth of compost, and something will start to happen. So you got to get at least the size of a beach ball in height. And then once you get it there, don't matter what you got in there, as long as it ain't a lot of not human, like meat. You don't want to immediately do human waste, but there's a way to do that too. But you don't want a lot of meat. You want a lot of plant matter. You can put maybe a squirrel or two in there. If it's big enough, it'll decompose it, but you don't want a lot of dead animals in there. But if you start turning it and aerating it once a week, it'll go black and you have compost in a matter of months. But this is a lazy compost pile. Just the sheer mass of it. If you dig into there, I'm not gonna do it because I'm gonna make this video not that long. You'll see that it's you start digging in here, you'll see it's warm. It's hot. This is a pretty hot pile, and you want the pile to get heated up because that kills all pathogens and does some of the work. This is another one of my learning apparatuses, the chicken coops. This is an old coop. This is the first coop I kind of revamped it a little bit. Put this door on here and this little curb. Another thing I've been practicing is concrete and brick. Been working with that a lot, so I'm getting decent with that. And there you go. Yeah, a lot of practice. I've gotten decent with erecting doors for like coops because they're standalone doors, so they need a structure. This works. A curb, 5 bags of concrete and some water. You can create a curb that'll set the door for standalone door for coops, hoop houses. Yeah, the same thing works for barns. This coop is just like the greenhouse. It's just concrete, post and beam. Just concrete in the ground with a post in it. A lot of people talk against that, but that's the easiest way. Eventually the wood's gonna go bad, but the good thing about that is you can still use that concrete post. You can re-pour it and reset another post on top of it. Just working with the concrete. But if it go rotten, you can replace it. So, and keep that same concrete. But these are those are a few years in, and they look just fine. As long as your concrete is above the ground, above the grade, and making sure the way the concrete is set, that the water goes off of it, you'll be fine. Here's another good learning thing. quick tips and things I learned is you got to cover the ground around your coop so nothing can dig under it. You got to reinforce the door because it's a standalone. It's basically a standalone structure, the door. That's why it's another concrete curb. And you got to use good fencing for your wire. Make sure it's dog proof, fox proof, which means you got to have these little holes. Anything more than 4 inches, a fox can get in. So this is fox proof, coyote proof, dog proof. I don't know about bear proof. I haven't seen proof for bears around here. This was a duck coop. I'm taking this down. I'm gonna add this to the compost. The dogs destroyed this dog kennel, believe it or not. Still thinking I might still try to reuse this. I don't know. Here's my dirty duck crew. This is more dog kenneling. It's kind of temporary chicken coop, and that was another experiment for a chicken tractor, and I'll admit that was a failure. Wood, it's a bad idea for a chicken tractor. It's too heavy. So, and then the stuff I used there, it's the metal was not, even though it's hardware cloth, everybody on the internet says hardware cloth is the best thing. Whatever kind of dog or wolf or fox was out here bit through the hardware cloth like a hot knife through butter. So that I found out is not true. Chicken washing station, egg washing station, and more beans for next coop. But this all learning space for me. So I've went through 3 iteration of chicken coops, and I finally settled on one that I can build from scratch without plans. My goal in some of the building structures, the reason I do them so over and over is so I can know how to build without instruction. So if I make sure I comprehend all of the sciences behind the structure, so I can use plans, but I need to know how to share the information without a written plan. So about the weight, the bearing, and the structural integrity of whatever you're building, that I was aiming to know that by heart, and I'm there. You know, if you understand the structural integrity, you can build the building from scratch without a lot of plans, or draw your own plans and build it, and it'd be structurally sound and possibly pass inspection if it was inspected, because you go by they got a book of universal code that everybody uses. You go read some of that and you'll be fine. But you got to know what is structurally sound. Because if you build something that's not structurally sound, it's going to fall down. You don't want that. And it's going to get destroyed. This papaya, I think it keeps coming back. Here's what drove me to build this brick chicken coop, this another chicken coop, was the dogs. This one will be dog and bear proof. But I had to pause on this because I had to deal with getting all these chickens out. The dogs really messed up most of this year and last year. There's the 2 windows I shouldn't have out here, but they've been sitting out here. I need to probably bring them back inside. There's the frame. I need to bring those back inside until I get back to work out here. But I learned how to pour concrete. There's a foundation under here, 2 feet. I think our frost zone is like 14 inches. I'm well below 2 feet in the ground. My footer's double the size of this. These 8 inches, my footer is 16 or 18 inches. So your footer want to be double the size of whatever your foundational wall is. It might be 2 feet. I can't remember. But the footer's more than twice the size. It's either 2 feet or 18 inches. With rebar coming up, rebar is connected to my footers, coming up through the wall, wherever you see the rebar at, this rebar all the way down attached to the footer. So this is like, when I get to the top, I'm gonna pour this in with concrete. And this would be like a concrete rebar. It's like a cage. And then you do a header. You fill up the top beam with rebar and concrete, and it connects to this. So it's like a cage of concrete and rebar inside the brick. That's what holds it. That's what makes it storm-proof. So if we ever have a hurricane or a storm here, we'd all be heading to this chicken coop. This qualifies as a decent storm shelter. And I'm sharing some of the basic stuff I've been practicing and learning with you in this video. Eventually, I want to share what I learned with whoever can get it. You gotta learn some mechanics. And it's basically, the stuff I'm talking about is what most people that live on farms, they already know. By the time they're 16, they know all this stuff. And they go to school and know what you know. They builders, mechanics, husbandry men, gardeners, tree men. They know how to cut trees, plant trees. Yeah, so with the husbandry and all the stuff that's in the biblical instructions on how to live on the planet, it's a basic instruction of how to survive on planet Earth. You gotta learn it. You gotta learn trees, plants, herbs, animals, structures, water control. Oh, here, let me share this with you. I'm hoping it's making sense. Because I think a lot of times people be like looking at what I'm doing and be like, he's kind of cuckoo. I'm not cuckoo. This tree I put in this summer, pear tree. Learn which trees go in shade, which trees in full sun. This is a lemon tree. I first put this here on I forget which hurricane, but when I first brought this property, I brought this tree from Florida and planted it. I think I brought it up with me to Minnesota, and I brought it back down to Florida, and it was in a pot, and I planted it here. And this is what they call a bitter lemon tree. It's a trifecta, 3-leaf, dragon, orange. I think it's a lemon though, it's not an orange. It's got the 3 leaves. It's kind of bitter, but this is the 3rd year of good fruit, 3rd, 4th year, and the fruit is actually, I tasted it next to a lemon from the store. It tastes pretty much the same. It's not that bad. I think the bitterness maybe come from, it's got a real thick rind, and if you let that get too thick, they get bitter. I think I might pick them a little earlier, like they're getting close to it. I think I might pick them and I'll let them sit on the shelf for a little while, and they get pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm not gonna wait until they all turn yellow. I'm gonna start picking them, pick some of them early and see how that goes. Here go one, starting to look like a lemon. Yeah, but this tree has been here the whole time since I've been here. This tree's got to be 7 years in the ground, and What am I, 6? So this tree got to be at least 12 feet. That's 8 feet. Yeah, it's got to be 12 or 16 feet tall. It's got a nice canopy. I've done some minimum pruning to it just to keep the water spouts off of it. I let it do its own thing, and it's yeah, it's up 16 feet. Once it got full sun on top, it started with fruit up top. Now it's giving me a little fruit down here where I can reach. Because the first set of fruit, you had to get to a ladder. It wasn't being very nice, but now it's been nice to me. Look at that little lemon. Yeah, but this tree's been here about 7 years, and look at that. Yeah. That's what I learned. I learned some stuff about citrus. You got to cover them the first few years, and you got to get cold hardy citrus. That's definitely cold hardy, the one we've seen. Let me show you. That tree's babies is these little guys down here. All these little trees right here. These little guys. I planted these last winter from the seeds from the fruit of that tree, and here we go. I need to put them out in full sun and repot them. The trees are as big proportionally because they're all the same size. The age, they big is proportionate to the pot that they're in. That's the difference. But all of these are the babies of that tree. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you got single embryonal and multiple embryonal seeds, and that lets you know which one will be true. Some citrus grow true to the same, and then some citrus generate new type fruit and type trees. So a lot of the fruit and trees you eat is one kind of fruit. They'll capture that fruit and they'll keep cutting that tree and creating clones from cuttings to generate that same fruit. Because if you grow it from the seed, you might get a different fruit and it might not be the same as what you got. So this poor baby is apparently not draining. So you see stuff like this. I don't think this got holes in it. I don't know how that happened. But she's not draining. Let me do an emergency thing here. Let me show you the rest of this. Let me cut this bad boy. Can't have that. I don't think this pot is draining how it's supposed to. Put a little hole in it. That'll drain. Can't have that. But there's about, I think it's about 12 of these here, and they all the babies from that tree. And yeah, I'm not gonna go all over the citrus because I've killed a lot of citrus since I've been here. I had about a 80% kill rate on my citrus trees. That's the only tree that when I first came here, I probably planted about 15, 20 trees. This is the only one that survived. And it's because it's cold hardy, and maybe it's got up against that building. It's probably got some protection. This one's got fruit on it. This is supposed to be cold hardy, Mineola, Tangelo. So I put it in this big pot so I can move it into the greenhouse every winter. Oh, I gotta show you one more thing in my garden that I'm growing. I got a couple of cucumbers. I don't know if they're gonna do anything. It's kind of late. And The other thing I intended on learning with my practice is what you got. Winter greens down here. That's new from coming from the Midwest. There's my hoop house. Got to put some new plastic on it. This is more practice. I may keep this here for a couple of seasons, but I don't think it's going to be a permanent situation. But I'm going to put up a wall and a door for practice so I can learn how to, because building hoop houses down here, you can grow stuff, really nice crops like ginger and turmeric. You add a couple of months to the season, and those are high value crops for your health and financially. Here's some more rutabagas. They're not very robust because they don't really get full. They get half day sun over here, so they still look barely recognizable. You know, the few that, but they are there, rutabagas, and this is what's left. I pulled these up from my thinning of those mustard greens. I stuck them in some flats of dirt when I thinned them out, and I got to plant these. I think Lakia is going to put this bok choy and these if she hurry up and get them before they die, these broccolis in her bed. Now, these are mustards. If I make it out to the 5 acres, I might put them in the ground out there, but I don't think it's worth it. And I still got some cabbages, some head cabbages, bravo, and some more collard greens. So I keep them just in case. Like this may not come up the way I want. I may put some of them in here, and they'll come out good. Got some more pear trees. I've been trying to get pears that work down here. I haven't gotten a pear yet, but I have gotten peaches and apricots. Those are put on fruit. Not apricots. These are my 3 apricot trees. That one a little stunted, but I planted that one late. Sweet gem, and these more cotton, more citrus that I got to cover, making work for myself. Citrus a lot of work because they don't belong here. This is zone 8. They belong in zone 9. But if you cover them or get cold hardy ones, you can have some success. Here's a apricot tree and another one. No, it's a nectarine, not apricot, nectarine. And these are late cayenne peppers. That's another high value crop that I can grow down here. I wouldn't say they late. They was covered up with cucumbers, which I shouldn't have did, but I'm learning. Because I got not enough bed space and too many ideas. And these things are at least 4 and 5 feet tall, the bushes. And they loaded with cayenne peppers. These are tiny, but they're spicy. So I'm gonna get some of these seeds, and if I got time, I'm gonna collect some of these and dry them and beat them in a powder for my own use. Yeah, cayenne peppers. So that's another thing I've learned how to do here. My first attempt at tobacco for medicine. Here goes some turmeric. They're coming towards the end of their cycle. Really pretty plants. They look like little banana trees, turmeric. And some echinacea. That's a permanent space for the echinacea. Like I said, I had about 12 of them in here to start, but now it's like maybe 10 of them in there. And they'll divide. This is gonna be a permanent echinacea bed, so I won't do that again. I won't put cucumbers or anything else in there. This is another experimental bed with medicinal stuff. Some holy basil over there, tobacco, calendula, and what is this stuff called? This stuff right here. This is a permanent bed. It's I forget what it's called, but it's for your liver. The seeds are for your liver. Milk thistle. Yeah, the milk thistle is in there. So, all good medicines. Lord knows my liver needs some milk thistle. I quit doing that, drinking stuff though. Done with that. That's it. That's the ideal here. That's what we've been doing. Oh, look at this. These figs are finicky. You got to catch them as they ripen before anything else gets them. This one's almost just about perfect. But see, if you get that milk coming out, you picked it a little too early. But if you wait a couple more days, just when they get ripe, the birds, they check on them, and they'll come peck holes in them. And after they peck a hole in them, see, this one's dripping that milk. That milk will, if you eat that, it'll burn your flesh. It's the opposite of acid. It's a base. Pretty sure it's medicinal. You can make a medicine out of it. You definitely can make medicine out of the tree leaves from the fig trees. It's a blood regulating medicine for like diabetic type stuff and a lot of other issues. Maybe next season I'll harvest some of these leaves kind of late in the season. Could get some. They at the end of their life cycle, I'll get some, but it's not enough. It's a balance. You got to harvest enough where you don't kill the tree. So I learned the great value of the fig tree is the leaves. The fruit is just a bonus. It's delicious fruit is a bonus. This is what's the name of this tree? Bordeaux. Violet Bordeaux. That's what this is. The purple. It's deep purple. I haven't tasted it yet. Heard it's pretty good, but I picked this one too early. So, I'll leave this, and maybe this one will be, I can taste one of these. But this is the second year for this tree, and it's put on fruit. It kind of got froze back, so I think it might be a little more cold sensitive. I don't know if I should cover it. It got almost froze to the ground, I think, and it came back. So I might cover this one this year. The thicker the stalk gets, the tougher it gets. The thicker the stump gets, the tougher it gets. So all three of these is coming out of one stump, so I'm gonna keep that. And I'm gonna keep this stump, and I'm gonna pull back some of the mulch to expose the stump, so I can remember that it's a one stump tree, and let these three grow off of there. That's what I'm gonna do. Because you don't want a bush with a bunch of stems growing out of the ground. You want a tree with the fig or one trunk, and let it grow as a tree. Because it will try and bush out, send a lot of shoots up through the roots like a blueberry. But if you let it stay, keep it a tree, it grows more vigorous and produce more fruit, from what I've seen. I think that's just my opinion. It's not a fact. As you see, this is early for this baby, but yeah, it seems like it might have a sweet flavor. It's early, but look at that strawberry look inside. I picked it too early though. It's not ready. I'm gonna go feed it to the chickens. That's about it. That is what we're doing out here. But my schooling times is over. It's time for me to switch gears and I'm not getting on camera because I haven't picked my hair out yet. I got the morning afro going. Here go, that's the original plant, and these are its babies. These are Lakia's aloe vera. She got to get them in. Well, they got to go in the greenhouse before it gets cold. And you got to put the plastic up. I do. Got so much stuff to do. Most of these are going in the hoop house. That hoop house is for all these trees that I probably shouldn't have in zone 8. But I got them. But if I get them past a certain age, I think they'll be okay. Here's another failure. Well, I had a cherry tree over here, cherry tree over there. I don't know if I brought the wrong kind. I didn't do it right. But, they die. This one's dying slowly. You can watch a tree die real slow. So don't get excited about a tree until you get it past the third year. If you want one tree, buy 3. 3 is 1. 1 is 9. 2, you gambling. Same with chickens and different animals, because trees dies, animals dies, plants die, so that you may live. And my pomegranate tree, this tree won't die, but it don't produce any fruit. Some of these trees they sell, they don't sell you the best trees always at Home Depot. So you got to look them up and see what they working with in your zone, what kind of frost hours you get in your zone, in your area, and you want to get the frost hours that match the best. You want to at least get the frost hours. We here is somewhere between. We're in the middle of about 500 frost hours, so anywhere between 800, you coming close. So I would say 300 to 700 is a sweet spot for where I'm at. I'm in zone 8 in Macon, Georgia. I think we average with frost hours. If you go too low, it'll spring its fruit too soon, and it might get zapped by the frost because it's still frosting. If you go too high, you'll never get fruit. So low is better than high, but you got a risk of losing fruit. You got a better chance of fruit with the lower frost hour plants. But stuff like apples, pears, most of them require heavier frost hours. So you got to get specific brands that I gotta feed these chickens that are low frost. Like this Arkansas, this is black Arkansas apple, the Gala apple, the Granny Smith. Those are low frost hour apples. You don't have a large plethora of apples that grow down here. They grow more in the northern part because we're in the southern part. So they got some that grow. You got to be specific at which ones you get, because you'll just have a pretty tree and no fruit. So you got to watch. You got to check. And feed these girls this extra cayenne pepper. They like peppers and figs. They eat that. Yeah, they like that. So this is fresh fruit. Yeah, they all over. She got out the bath for that. They finna fight over it. What are you looking at? They ain't even bothered with the pepper. I should have cut the pepper off. They'll find it. So that's it. That's what I've been doing. That's the Hebrew Homestead update. The garden, it's a couple of garden beds. Huge compost pile, which I feed these garden beds, and I use the bedding from the chicken coops to this compost pile, and sometimes the leaves and whatever other debris that I come across in my workings. And I feed these beds. The general idea here was, you can see it as garden bed, fruit tree. So fruit trees and garden beds is a nice design concept that I've been working on. Kind of came up with this several years ago. Some people done put a name on it, but it's just garden beds, fruit trees. And it confuses when you got a variety like that. You don't monocrop the thing. It controls the diversity helps control the pests. You know, you don't get wiped out by one stupid bug. You know what I'm saying? So you start to see I've been seeing different species of butterflies here, like big black butterflies and big gray and white butterflies. Big ones, like biggest, like, 4 inches across. I've not seen a monarch, but who knows? I put up that milk thistle. So some stuff I let go to flower so I can get butterflies. I've been seeing lately honeybees. I've been had wasps and bumblebees, but I've been seeing smaller honeybees. It might be because one of my neighbors had showed up and brought a honeybee nest. They might have dropped off some bees over here, but I've been seeing honeybees, bumblebees, what they call carpenter bees, big wasps, clay wasp, soldier flies, all different kind of stuff. All different kind of pollinators, so you want your pollinators around. And yep, I ain't talking about my grapevines that's gonna be living on the outside of my greenhouse. And got my little apple forest over here. And I can go on and on, but the main focus I wanted to share today was the gardening, show what's in the garden for shits and giggles, and given that this whole place that you've been watching me work, it's like a miniature homestead, but for me it's really been like my school zone and this is like my laboratory. This stuff if I have an ideal I may try here. Another thing that I have not finished yet. The problem is too that this stuff costs money, and I pay for all this out of my own pocket, and I have to work really hard to get to it because I'm not rich, and I'm a Negro in America. I don't have good credit. I was a victim of all the things that our people suffer here. So I don't have to explain all that. You know what it is. But I ain't exactly a broke nigga, but I'm not a rich nigga either. So this is an unfinished product. It's gonna get finished this season. I got to put I just discovered that you could use old sign tarps. This is a pond I dug. This is about 4 feet deep, 10 feet across or something like that. It's gonna be a fish pond. But the whole idea of this, and I'm gonna attach it to hopefully a filtering system inside the greenhouse, where I have a hydroponic system attached to the pond. That's the idea. But it's different concepts at play in a small space where I can practice with them and kind of live off of them and get the benefit of growing the stuff in the buildings, so I can take it to a bigger space. So if I fail here, it may just cost me a couple $100 or something, or less than $100 hopefully, or even maybe $1,000 failure is okay. But versus going on the 5 acres and failing there, where it costs you a whole year's worth of your salary, or a whole year's worth of, you're talking thousands of dollars if you make a mistake. So I came here to practice, learn, make mistakes. Same with the Evie there. She's the mistake practice dog. So when I get some sheep and some goats, that's a herding dog. So she training me so I can learn how to train and learn how to deal with them kind of dogs. Because If you get animals like sheep and goat, a herding dog come in handy. But if you ain't handle no dog, them dogs gonna eat your sheep. So it's all practice. The local cat that I feed the locals, so they help keep the mice and the snakes away. One of them got jiggy with me, but I didn't kill it though. This one's a real mellow one. I call him Mr. Carruthers. Let's see if we can get a close up of Mr. Carruthers. He's a funny looking cat. And he looks like he's gonna eat you and gonna sleep, but pretty mellow. He got a baby mama that cheats on him with all the cats in the neighborhood. I don't know if he knows that none of them kittens are his, but he's an older sugar daddy cat. And yeah. Let's see. That's it, man. But this is a practice place. We got new blueberries, 3 more blueberries, because that blueberry bush did amazing. And they put out some new shoots that I'm gonna let come up. It's forming another plant right next to it. I'm gonna let it do it. Excuse me. That's nasty. Somebody said that's how you get cancer. This is a cherry tree, which I'm very excited about. I should put it out in the sun. Something's munching on it. I gotta spray it. Yeah, I should put it out in the full sun. I think it's getting ready to drop its leaves though. Cherry is related to mulberry and fig. Fig and mulberry are related, and cherry is in that family. And they also related to horse apple or orange. I forget what it's called. Some kind of orange. But they make, it's called a horse apple. But they are related. The horse apple is good for root stock. I've learned all that. That's what I've learned here. Stuff like that. That tree is supposed to be a rootstock tree, but the lemons ain't half bad. You know, they're good for lemonade. So, the first year's fruit is hardly ever that great. So, you can't be discouraged by that. This another one, Trifolia. It's got fruit on it for the first time this year. It's like 12 or 15 of them on there. It might be lemons. It's hard to tell if they're lemons or oranges. We'll find out. But it's a trifolia. It's 3 leaves. That's what it's called. They call it a bitter root. They use it in the industry as a rootstock plant when it's got them 3 leaves. But that's the first year's fruit. So, you know, we ain't bother with these fruit. But that's great because next year it'll have more. Probably got like, I think it's like 20 of them on there. Yeah, so next summer I'll do some. Next spring I'll prune. It's got all these shoots on here. I'll probably prune most of these and let this keep growing because this one's got a nice tree structure. I'll prune most of these shoots growing off here. These are they can compete with the main stem and let it be a tree. I don't know if you can see all them shoots growing off the bottom there. They kind of coming out. You don't want to let those grow, so I didn't bother with this time. I'm going to prune those. Citrus trees. I'm sharing some of the stuff I've learned in this video. I know it's long. Citrus trees you prune them in the summer. Where deciduous trees, citrus trees are evergreen trees. They don't drop their leaves. Deciduous trees drop their leaves and you prune them in the winter when they sleep. Citrus trees is an evergreen tree, and you prune it in the summer when the energy is high. So, late spring, it's time to prune them, not in the wintertime. After it's done, when it's putting on its flowers, you don't want to prune it. But sometimes it's a summer pruner, because that's when you can cause the least harm. You don't want to prune it in the wintertime because it's not asleep, but it's just struggling. So pruning is going to make it struggle more. So you prune it when it's strong. Deciduous trees, you prune them in the wintertime because they're dormant, they sleep. They don't even know you prune them. They wake up and then they deal with it. So they don't, they just, and then most of their energy is in the ground in that time of year. So that's the ideology behind pruning. There's a difference, and you got to know the difference. I'm going to show you one more tree. This is another pear tree. I like the leaves on this tree. And it's okay to talk to the trees and be like, hey, man, I think you're a pretty cool tree. I'm a woman. Okay, you got pretty nice fruit. You got nice assets. And I hope you, get some fruit from it in the next couple of years. This is Shikino. It's a Japanese pear. Shikino. I like pears. Do you like pears? So, there's that. Let me show you this. See, this one only got 2 leaves. And it's got some kind of worm crawling around on there. You gotta get rid of it. Gotta spray. I gotta spray these bad puppies. See, I need to cut this. Like, this is dead. I need to cut this. Probably now is a good time. And that's a water sprout. But I ain't finna get into that because that's a whole class. I taught myself some pruning techniques from watching videos, reading a little book, and I had a screenshot picture of a pruning guide that I used to leave on my phone for study purposes for a couple of years. I'm not gonna get a class on it, but you gotta learn how to prune because pruning muscadines is different than pruning regular grapes. Muscadine pruning and what you call grapes, they're both grapes, but they're different types of pruning styles. This is another lemon tree. Some of these trees I've lost because I did not label them with permanent labels. And see, this one, something's eating this tree. But this tree has made its way up. It's survived all the winters. It's not the rootstock, the tree, what is this called? The grafting on this tree survived. So this is the rootstock here. And this, you see this knob on there? Let me see that knobby looking thing. That's where they grafted the tree onto this rootstock. So the graft on this tree survived. That other lemon tree, the rootstock survived. But this tree, the graft survived. And it's been here for about, 6 years. But it's been dying back every year, but it's getting stronger and stronger, and it stays. It's got used to this climate. So I'm believing, because I think this is a lemon tree, if I remember correctly. But I'm believing, but you see this got 2 leaves, not 3 leaves. 1, 2. You just look at the end leaf, you'll see. I don't know what's eating this, but I gotta spray it. I believe when this reaches, because these mulberries block the sun, those pecan trees block the sun, so it gets noonday sun and it gets diffused sun the rest of the day. But I'm gonna let it, when it gets up to where that roof line is, it's gonna get full sun, and I think when it gets to that full sun, it's gonna fruit, because that's what happened with the lemon tree. When it grew past the mulberry tree, which I prune these every year. So I'm gonna prune these again this year. When it grow past that mulberry tree, I think it's gonna pop. Ain't that right? And I think I might have another nice lemon tree. But this tree, for comparison, is almost the same age as that other big tree that I showed you. Maybe it's a year off, and you see the difference. And I'll tell you what the difference is between this tree and the other tree, and I'm gonna show you the difference. The difference is the sun. That tree gets full day, all day sun, and this one gets maybe 4 hours, from like 9 to noon or something like that. It gets full sun, and then it's kind of blocked. So I've learned with everything, the sun, full sun, that's the south. Southern sun, we're in the northern hemisphere. We're north of the equator, so you get southern sun. Full southern sun makes a difference in how. Yeah, so that tree and this tree. It's a big difference. You see that stalk? That stalk's the size of my forearm or my arm. Yeah, that stalk's got to be the size of my like it's bigger than my arm. That's probably the size of my lower leg. That stalk. That stalk over there is the size of maybe three of my fingers. It's a big difference, but they're the same age. There's only maybe 1 year difference between that one and this one. Yeah, this one's probably 1 year older, but this one's way bigger, putting out plenty of fruit. It's the sun. That's the difference, I think. Sometimes it's a species of tree, but I think most of these lemon trees, these citrus, get about the same size. They're not a big tree. This is about as big as the tree gets. They don't get much bigger than this. 10 to 20 feet tall. And I haven't pruned this one. That one's gotten died back a couple times. It's the sun, and that one's getting more frost. This one's got the frost protection, I think, from the building and just the area. And it's a different tree. That's a different tree. This one's more frost tolerant, but they the same age, but this one's way bigger. So might just be the trifoliate is a more vigorous tree, but I think when that one hits the sun, it's gonna pop. This one over here is getting full sun, so it's been popped after that tree is about 3 years old with them little fruits on. I think that's the 3rd year. And that's it. Here's my Wari Satsuma. These are supposed to be disease resistant from that I forget the name of that stuff that hit Florida. So these are supposed to be cold tolerant and disease resistant. They got fruit on them when I got them. I think this is like a tangerine. Look like a tangerine. Most citrus stay green until they're ready or until you pick them. So they stay green until they get ripened. Then they show their true colors. Yellow, orange, pink. Owari Satsuma. I had to get these. I got 2 of them. Those are resistant to the, I forget the name of the disease that's out, that's killing all citrus in Florida. I can't remember what it's called. Some kind of bug. A lot of bugs from China seem to bring a lot of disease down here to kill a lot of stuff that we got. Seems like a biological warfare to me. I said it. Ling Hong Lee. Chop suey on your ass. Yeah, this ginger was here before the tree was, so I left it. And these are Wari Satsumas. I think this would be a money crop for Zone 8, from what I heard. Oh, that's kind of soft. That's getting there. Look at that. That's a beautiful thing. I fed these. I'm going to spray them this week. I put some more pomegranates in the front. Hopefully it'll boost that no fruit and tree in the back, cross-pollination. So I put 2 more pomegranates here. Another lesson I've learned with fruit trees, you don't want to just buy one fruit tree unless it's a special tree that's self-pollinating, you know all about it, and you're going to baby it. You want to at least buy At least 3. Same with chickens. You can't have one chicken. You can't have one goat. They're a group animal. And the trees are usually as a group. With apples, they need to cross-pollinate with a different species. Not everything needs to cross-pollinate. When you buy them, you can look up the cross-pollination, what takes to pollinate them, the chill hours, and the zone that it's rated for, where it's supposed to grow. With that information, you can, but you never want to really buy just one tree. For one, they might die. One of them might die, and you won't have none. If you buy 3, you probably guarantee to keep at least one. You could have none. But I would say at least, 3 to 4 if you're buying a fruit tree. Especially something like apples if it needs cross-pollination, you need want to buy different species. Because usually you want cross-pollination with different species. Unless it tells you it's self-pollinating. Some species is self-pollinating. Like this tree does just well. I forget what kind of peach this is, all by itself. The nectarines and the plums, they need cross-pollination. Apples need cross-pollination with different species. These are self-pollinating. So those are terms you got to learn when you're dealing with trees. Self-pollinating, cross-pollinating. Do you need to pollinate? Do you have pollinators around? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. But it's not blah, blah, blah. It's real science. And you got to know it. So you can be fruitful and you can multiply. I'm Waleed. This is the Hebrew Homestead Update. And that's what's in the ground for this season. And that's where we at with our learning and growing, living, laboratory, classroom, homestead. Haven't got to the lab part yet. I need a microscope and a telescope. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have both. You gotta get the micro and the macro. And yeah, that's where we at. I'm out. Shalom. Peace.